حياكم الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم جميعا. Welcome everyone to the Arabic Essentials course, a course which we've done before, alhamdulillah, but this time round it's going to be slightly different, inshallah. This is the second cohort, the second time we're delivering this course, but with some improvements and some changes, inshallah. Let me share the screen first, and then I'll go into more detail, inshallah. Right. Right. So this cohort 2, I think we've done the cohort 1, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. Well, when was it? I think it was after Eid al-Fitr. I think before Hajj. And this time it's a bit different. And what makes it different? Last time it was heavily focusing on the explanation and concepts and theory, okay? Which was part of it, but it was lacking a lot of the practice, okay? So this time, inshallah ta'ala, there's going to be more practice, and it's going to be less focus on the theory, inshallah. So there's a lot of feedback that I've got at times, it was a bit too dense in terms of grammar and grammar explanation. So this time is going to be a bit more basic, to the point, and the focus is going to be on practicing and developing those skills, which was the plan, actually, the first time we done the course. However, just because of the lack of resources and lack of time, I never really kept up as much as I wanted to when it comes to creating those resources. But now, alhamdulillah, with the support of you guys, we have expanded the team. I've got a brother that lives in Egypt helping me with creating some of the learning content. Another brother's helping with the technical side of things. And alhamdulillah, someone else helping with, giving the students support and replying to the messages and the like. So kind of like freed me up a bit. Still, I'm at the early stages, trying to bring the team together and making the workflows smoother. But alhamdulillah, I can say that because of the support that you guys have given, I hope that it continues. The khair has, it's become easier for me to focus on what really matters, which is delivering these lectures and delivering learning resources and quizzes and exercises that the student can benefit from. Okay, that's the core of what I like to do, and that's where my strength lies. So I'm very happy, alhamdulillah, that I managed to outsource, if you like, or delegate most of the admin stuff. Alhamdulillah. Barakallah fikum. So someone said, are we not going to cover much grammar like the previous one aimed to cover all basic grammar concepts? No, we are going to cover grammar, specifically the basic grammar concepts. But last time I went a little bit beyond basic. Okay, it was a bit too detailed and a bit too deep, right? So this time we're going to stick to the basics, inshallah, and focus more on the practice side of things. Now, for those of you that like the detail, that want to go into more detail, then alhamdulillah, it's recorded. The lessons are available, inshallah. And also, because of the fact that we've done this course before, I want to benefit from the previous effort. So things that I've explained before in more detail, then I might touch on it, and then I might suggest that you watch the clip, or I might clip it out from the recordings from before, and I can give you that as homework so that you can watch that clip in your own time to get the bigger picture, if you like. So it's kind of like a part 2 of last time, what we did last time. Okay, barakallah fikum. I think all of you know what the course is about, but we'll talk about it, inshallah. We'll talk about when we talk about what the course is about, we'll talk in more detail when we get to this section, inshallah. But to start off with, a bit of introduction. Might have to introduce myself because of the fact that I think we have a lot of new students. So I'm your brother Muhammad bin Abdul Wali. I'm a student here in Saudi Arabia and King Saud University doing a master's in tafsir. And my mission is to help people learn Quran and Arabic, specifically Arabic, so that they can access Islamic reference books and the sources of our Islamic knowledge, such as the Quran and the Hadith and the books of the scholars, directly without having to rely on a translator. So that is my mission in life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. And this course comes off the back of that mission. This course, it's really aimed at being the first step towards your journey learning Arabic and making sure you have a great start, inshallah. So now it's time for you to introduce yourself. And like we always do, we utilize WooClap for that. So I'd like to know a little bit more about the audience, just a few simple questions, okay, just to get the demographics right. So there's the link. Please join WooClap. Just ask some of these questions, inshallah ta'ala. First question would be, where are you joining us from? Okay. This normally helps with planning time zones and stuff. So we have people from Sweden, USA, UK, Germany, London, US, mashallah. A lot of people from the US, mashallah. Trinidad, even Kenya, mashallah. Allahumma barik. You know, Saudi Arabia, mashallah. Some people that are close to us where we are. MashaAllah. So I think it's safe to say that we have people from all around the world. Calgary, Alberta, Canada. MashaAllah. May Allah Ta'ala preserve you all. Right. Okay, so that's great to know. The next question would be, how old or young are you? Okay. Normally, the age range is between 16 and 25. So the youth don't let us down, Allahumma barik. Okay, which is great, mashallah. That's good thing to see, because you're the future, alhamdulillah. Mashallah, mumtaz. Okay, so that's just to get a better understanding. We have about 30 of you answer that question. Mumtaz. Okay, next question. What brings you here today? Yani, why are you here? It's always good to know your objectives. What brings you here today? You're joining us here today for this course. Why is that? Learning, okay. Hope that helps. Talab al-ilm, seeking knowledge. You're a grammar lover, mashallah. To build on my Arabic, inshallah, to understand the Quran and Sunnah, revising the basics, to learn Arabic, to understand Quran, to please Allah. MashaAllah. Learn enough basic to understand. MashaAllah, to understand. So, what I can gather from this is that most of you are here to understand Arabic, not necessarily because of the Arabic itself as a language, rather because it's a tool to understand the word of Allah, to understand the Quran. And I couldn't think of a better intention to have than that. Wallahi. So, Allahumma barik. So I was going to ask, why do you want to learn Arabic? But I think there's no point asking that, because most of you already said that you want to learn Arabic in order to understand the Quran. Okay? Which is exactly why you should learn it. Have you learned Arabic before? Yes, no, a little bit. What's your background when it comes to learning Arabic, yani? Have you learned it before? Even if you want to mention the book that you've learned, fine. Someone said yes, learning a little bit, a few times. Now, that probably applies to most of you, okay? The average Arabic learner, from my personal experience of teaching more than 12 years, yes? From my personal experience, the average person who wants to learn Arabic, it's not his first attempt. Okay. Rarely do I teach someone that comes to me, says to me, this is the first time. I've never learned Arabic before. Most people have done Medina books sometime before, maybe done Bani Yadayk, which it's a good thing in a way that you see that people are working hard, mashallah, but it's also not such a good thing because it shows you that there's seriously something wrong when the average person has multiple failed attempts. Okay. That means their needs are not being catered for. There's something wrong here that needs to be fixed. And inshallah, we're here to get to the bottom of that. How would you describe your current Arabic level? How would you describe it in your own words? average, weak, beginner, intermediate, poor, solid 0. Wow, mashallah. This lesson is for beginners, so mumtaz. You should feel at home, inshallah. This lesson is not for advanced students, so I can't see anyone that's advanced. I see someone who's very good, mashallah. Maybe you can benefit maybe from the way maybe that I teach or the likes, but I am going to keep it quite basic, intermediate, jayyid. Even if it's intermediate, this particular course, to be honest, it focuses a lot on filling the gaps as well. Not just building the person from scratch, but also filling the gaps. Because most students, like I said, they learned Arabic before, but there are a lot of gaps here and there. Okay? طيب. ممتاز. I think that's the last question for today. When it comes to asking you about yourself. We're going to have other questions as well, inshallah, related to the content. But I just want to share with you one thing regarding the importance of learning Arabic. This, as a reminder, it could have turned, the whole lecture could have just turned into importance of learning Arabic. Okay? And if it did, I think it would be at its place. It wouldn't have been something, there wouldn't be anything wrong with that. And I tell you why. Because when you realize the importance of learning Arabic, yes, and it's something that you internalize and you realize how important it is, that will go a long way in ensuring that you stick till the end and that you don't drop out. Because a lot of students, they drop out. I mean, at this right now, we have almost 100 people, almost 70 people. Probably could have been more if I reminded people earlier. I've just been too busy, but I expect it to be more next time. So out of the number of people that sign up, only a fraction of them finish the course. So that's why I want to share this with you. I want you to remember this, inshallah ta'ala. And I want you to write this down somewhere. Ibn Kathir, rahmatullahi alayh, the famous mufassir, he said, regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's statement, Inna anzalnahu Qur'anan Arabiyyan la'allakum ta'qilun. And this verse alone is enough to show you the virtue of the Arabic language. This verse alone is enough. Allah said, verily we have sent it down as an Arabic Qur'an, i.e. in the Arabic language, in order that you may understand. Okay, so there's something about the Arabic language that made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the universe, choose it over all the other languages in the world for it to be the medium in which He delivered His last message to His last Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best messenger with the best book. Allah chose for it the best language. So that's why Ibn Kathir, he says that the Arabic language is the most eloquent, plain, deep, and expressive of the meanings that might arise in one's mind. And this is something you have to experience for yourself. The Arabic language can take you to places you could never imagine you could have gone to. Yes, just mere words can do that. Okay? He says, therefore, the most honorable book was revealed in the most honorable language to the most honorable prophet and messenger, delivered by the most honorable angel in the most honorable land on earth, and its revelation started during the most honorable month of the year, Ramadan. Therefore, the Quran is perfect in every respect. So the Arabic language is one of the things that makes the Quran, perfect. Okay? Jamil jiddan. طيب. What's the objective of this course? What are we trying to achieve? Now, I'm not promising you that you will learn Arabic in 4 weeks. If that's what you think, then you're mistaken. Okay, that's not the objective of this course. Rather, my hope by the end of this course is that you will have mastered core grammar concepts that will supercharge your vocabulary and comprehension. So it's about the core. I think most of you heard of the 20-80 principle, right? Whereby 20% of anything would deliver 80% of its results. So that's the sort of thing we're talking about. Focusing on the core grammar concepts that will give you the biggest bang for your buck, like they say. All right. Those grammar concepts you're bound to find in every single sentence. Okay. Not all grammar concepts. So when you if you start to learn books like Ajrumi and the likes, you don't have this approach. It's basically everything. Okay. But because this course is specifically created for people who don't know Arabic, who want to learn Arabic, this is something that makes it stand out. Okay. Also, one of my hope is that by the end of the course, you will have gained a bigger picture of the Arabic language. Okay. Because right now, you might know some things about the Arabic language, but I want you to gain a bigger picture. When you have a bigger picture, then everything you learn going forward, it will have its own place ready. And the example, the analogy that some scholars they give is similar to someone who goes out to collect food, products, just he goes out to collect various different things, a scavenger, right? Now, imagine he has a big bag and he just puts everything in the bag, right? He just puts everything in the bag. Okay, so that's like how some of us, we seek knowledge. We just go without a framework, without having the bigger picture, without knowing the outline of the science. Because every science has got an outline, it's got masail, it's got concepts it talks about, and these concepts are normally logically related to each other and they're interconnected. It's got a starting place and an ending place. Like, for example, when you learn fiqh, then you have tahara, you learn that before you learn about salah, and then you learn som, and they're all connected. First, you learn about the worships, the ibadat, then about the muamalat. It's connected. Same thing with the grammar. Grammar is a science that is interconnected. So if you don't have that bigger picture, what's going to happen is you're going to learn new things, and you're like someone who's just throwing them in the bag. Okay, that's fine. You might think to yourself, I haven't lost anything. You might think to yourself, wallahi, every benefit the Ustad gave me and every concept that he taught, I've written it down. Okay, you haven't lost anything. That's fine. However, your knowledge is not organized. What does that mean? That basically means that when you need it, you can't get to it. Okay? So it might be somewhere in the back of your mind, but you can't recall it. You can't, because it's mixed up with everything else. And that's when people say stuff like, this language is too difficult or grammar is too difficult. Grammar is not difficult. You just had the wrong approach. طيب. Okay, sorry about that. So we have the bigger picture. That's one of the hope or one of the intentions behind this, that at the end of the course, you understand what the Arabic language is about and how it's structured. Also, one of the hopes is that you'll be well prepared for the next course you sign up for, regardless of what curriculum is going to be, even though we're a bit biased towards Al-Arabiyyatu Bayna Yadayk. So when it comes to vocabulary and the grammar concepts that we really focus on, it's catered towards Arabiy Bayna Yadayk. And maybe in the future, we might deliver this course with the flavor of Medina books, for example, right? But this one particularly is focused on Arabiy Bayna Yadayk because I find that to be the most useful curriculum that I've come across. It's a complete curriculum that includes everything that you need, as opposed to Medina books, which is just grammar and it's missing all the other skills, okay? But nevertheless, by the end of the course, you'll be better prepared for the next course. So you can make the most of that course. Likewise, I want you to, and this is a very important one, I want to help you realize tangible progress. That's what you need, so that you become very confident that you can learn this language and finally achieve your dream of understanding the Quran. This is really important. Why is this really important? Because a lot of you start embarking on the journey to learning Arabic, but then because you're too focused on the details and you take things from chapter to chapter, things they don't really connect, yes, and you don't really have anything that shows you tangible progress because of your approach. Okay, you're taking everything at a time. You're not having the bigger picture, right? Which means after 2 months of learning, 3 months of learning, when you open up a book and you still don't understand the sentence, right? Because you were just learning random vocabulary lists and now you're opening on a random book and things don't add up, you're going to feel like, hey, I've just wasted X amount of money, X amount of time, X amount of effort. And after 3 months, I still can't understand the native speaker when he makes a sentence as basic as, how old are you? For example, yes? Why is this the case? Well, because the approach was wrong. You didn't focus, number one, on the 20-80 principle. You didn't focus on the most important concepts or the most important frequent vocabulary that people use. You just learned random list, random grammar concepts. Also, you're measuring your progress in the wrong way. Okay? You have to measure your progress in accordance to the curriculum that you're taking. You have to measure your progress in accordance to your learning goal. What do I mean by that? Some of you want to learn Arabic in order to understand the Quran. صح? But then you start learning Arabic using a curriculum that has nothing to do with the Quran, a curriculum that doesn't use words from the Quran, a curriculum that doesn't focus on the grammar concepts of the Quran. That curriculum focuses on speaking, listening. It focuses on different scenarios. When you travel, what do you say? It's got like a phrase book. And the purpose of that curriculum is that if I throw you into an Arabic speaking country, you can, at least find your way around. That's the purpose of that curriculum. That's the goal of that curriculum. Your goal is to understand the Quran. These two things now, they don't align. So now you start taking that course, and you take that course for 3 or 4 months, and you still don't understand one ayah from the Quran, and then you come to the realization that, hey, you know what? I'm not making any progress, and this has an effect on your confidence. And once you lose confidence, you've lost hope. Okay? When do most, if not all, students stop continuing their journey in learning Arabic? When they lose hope, when they lose confidence, when they feel like Arabic learning is too hard. So that's one of the objectives of this course. Give you some tangible progress. I want you to see some results, because results lead to more confidence. More confidence leads to more motivation. More motivation leads to more work, leads to more steadfastness and consistency, which leads to more progress, which leads a virtuous cycle, like we said yesterday, positive feedback loop. Now you're making progress. Okay, so the greatest source of motivation is tangible progress. Okay, so I want you to realize at least some tangible progress, inshallah. And finally, I want you to have gained the skills and habits that will enable you to embark on this lifelong independent journey of learning the Arabic language. Okay, so there are certain skills and habits that you need to develop. If you don't develop them, then you're not going to get far. What are these skills? What are these habits? Hopefully you'll develop them by the end of this course. So how are we going to achieve these objectives? So this is the why, or the what we're after, yes, and this is the how. Okay, so this is what you can expect in the class. This is my promise, right? Okay, but this is like the proof in the pudding. Like, okay, how are you going to do that, Ustad? Or how are we going to do that, to be more precise? We're going to do that by, first, I'm going to be explaining things in an easy to comprehend way to the best of my ability, and I'll answer your questions and clear any confusion you might have. Okay, so I'm going to try to explain the concepts comprehensively, i.e. the bigger picture, like we said, but you're going to master the skills at your own pace. Obviously, all of you can't progress at the same pace, because not all of you are at the same level. We have beginners, we have intermediates, we have people that are more advanced. So yes, I'll explain everything comprehensively. I'll cover everything. But based on the exercises you're going to get, you will be progressing and mastering the skills at your own pace. So the one who is, let's say, more advanced, he'll go through the exercises and he'll develop the skills quicker. Or if he wants, he can start from a high level, and so on and so forth. The one who's a total beginner, he might take more time. So again, this course, even though it's delivered over the course of 4 weeks, it might take you much longer to complete. Okay, so I'm going to give you all the tools, all the exercises that you use at your disposal to just continue practicing, inshallah. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm just giving you like the initial push, right? Imagine you like on top of a mountain. Okay, that's a wrong example, isn't it? No. Imagine you're a boulder. You're not a human being, right? You're a boulder on the top of a mountain. Or imagine there's a boulder on the top of a mountain, and it's stuck, right? It just needs that initial push until it starts rolling, and then it gains momentum, and before you know it, just whooshing down, accelerating down the mountain. Okay, so that's basically what I'm trying to do here, right? Explain things to you so that you get a better understanding, give you the tools, but you're essentially the one who's going to put in the shift. All right. طيب. I'm also going to give you plenty of targeted exercises to develop core skills and achieve mastery and automaticity, inshallah. Like I said, this is the main difference between this course this time around and the previous one. Previous one, I promised it. I made a few, but not as much as I wanted to. Also, you'll be provided with the class recording and notes so that you can stay on track even if you miss the live class. Not that you should miss the live class, but time zone differences and the likes. Likewise, I'll try my best to remind you periodically about the importance of learning Arabic and why you started this journey. Because like I said, we will forget. That quote I told you about Ibn Kathir, I'll ask you 3 months from now. You're going to forget. So we need constant reminder. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And remind each other. For indeed, reminding benefits the believer. Okay, so if I remind you about the importance of learning Arabic, this will benefit you. Why? Because with time, you will forget. With time, you will forget. you will not have the amount of motivation that you have right now. So that's also one of the strategies, hopefully, that we will employ. Any questions so far? Right. Okay, so we've talked about what you need to know about the course. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the Arabic language, how it works, or what you need in order to master the Arabic language. Okay. And those of you that have done the course with me before, you might have recognized what we've done so far. But this point over here, this is something new. I'm going to share with you an analogy I came up with today. And I'd love to have your feedback on it. All right. So we're going to talk about a sample week layout. So a sample week of learning in this course, how does it look like? What does it consist of? Yes, it will be accessible on the website, inshallah. Yes. Bidhnillah al-Karim. Right. So what's a sample week layout? Right. Obviously, the website is not live yet. For those of you that visit the website, it's not live yet, so don't bother. Still need some work. Right. Ustad will be posting lesson 1 of cohort 1. It's not being posted? I'll have a look at that, inshallah. All right, so let's talk about this. All right, let's hope I get this right, inshallah. So, learning Arabic, I'm going to give you an analogy, inshallah. Okay? Analogy for learning Arabic. Analogies, they help, to understand something. Many of them in the Quran. All right? So, this is an analogy for how to learn the Arabic language. And I would say the analogy is that imagine learning Arabic is like cooking a complicated dish. Imagine learning Arabic is like cooking a complicated dish. Something most sisters will resonate with. And those of you, the brothers that like to cook, nothing wrong with that, of course, you might resonate with this as well. Cooking a complicated dish. What do I mean by that? Well, in order to whip up a good dish, right, you will need the following things. All right. Number one, you're going to need a recipe book. Okay. That you need to follow. It's a complicated dish. It's not the one that you are used to, right? It's a complicated dish. You need to follow instructions. You need a recipe book. And you're going to need ingredients. All right. You're going to need great kitchen skills, obviously. If you've never cooked before, you don't have the skills to cook, then that's a problem. And you're going to need the cooking process, obviously, which is going to take some time. Okay. Everyone with me so far? Okay. So again, we said learning Arabic. Let's imagine it's like cooking a complicated dish. So you're going to need these 4 things. All right. So what is the recipe book of Arabic? These things, I think I'm going to ask them on WooClap. Let's see if people, the first one you might struggle with, but once I fill in some of the blanks, it'll make more sense to you. So when it comes to Arabic language, what would you consider to be the recipe book? Right? Or what would the recipe book consist of? What would it entail? What would it contain? No, not the Quran. No. I said recipe book of the Arabic language. Let's say Arabic language is like cooking a complicated dish. And now you basically want to learn Arabic language. It's like cooking a complicated dish, right? So what would be the recipe book? All right, someone said steps. Okay, I agree with you, steps. Yes, what else? What would be the recipe book? What does the recipe book do? All right, so let's explain that. First, in order to know what the recipe book of Arabic is, what is a recipe book? Okay, now, the recipe book of the Arabic language, I would say, is learning about the Arabic language and learning how to learn it. Okay, so what's the connection? Okay, well, let's think about what are the benefits of a recipe book. Why do we have a recipe book? Well, number one, it allows you to see the picture of what you're cooking. All right, now you have a picture, you can see it, you can see that ingredient, that dish, its final form, you can see it in front of you. So you have like a picture, you understand what it is. Okay, and that itself is a form of motivation. Secondly, you understand what needs to be prepared. Okay, so when you get the recipe book, before you start cooking, now you know, hey, what's the cooking time for this? What do I need to buy? What's required? So you're more mentally prepared before you start cooking. Like it's one of the benefits of a recipe book. Likewise, you get a better picture of what's involved in terms of requirements, time, effort. Like we said, you're better prepared. And all of this translates to feeling that you're more in control, which leads to you being less likely to give up. Like we said, when do people give up? They give up when they feel like they're not in control, when they don't see them making progress. They don't have they don't even know what their learning objective is, what their learning goal is. They can't imagine what it is. It's just like someone who's blindfolded walking along a path, right? That person, it's just a matter of time before he says, what's the point? Okay, so a recipe book, it gives you a picture of the final dish. It tells you the steps that are required, the amount of time required, what you need to do and everything. So just by reading those instructions, now you are pumped up. You're like, you know what? I can do this. So this is what I call learning about the Arabic language as a language, what it consists of, the different skills, the different domains, its structure, what makes it unique. Okay? And also learning how to learn it. A lot of people, this is why they go wrong. They just jump into learning Arabic. They have no idea how to learn it. They don't know how to acquire vocabulary. How do you acquire Arabic vocabulary? Do you just do it the way you do it in English? Okay. How do you approach learning Arabic grammar? Okay. And maybe other things related to learning as well, generally speaking, things like how do you memorize? How do you take notes? How? Okay. So I think this is the recipe book of Arabic language. A lot of people, they forgo this. They just jump straight into a curriculum. Yalla, I want to learn Arabic. Okay, what book do you want to learn? Medina books. Okay, yalla, bismillah. You have no idea how to gauge your progress. You have no idea what's involved. You have no idea where you're going. Somebody asked you, what's the purpose of learning Medina book over learning Bani Yadayk? You have no idea. You don't even know the difference in two curriculums. In other words, you don't even know what you're going to cook. Like if learning Arabic language is like cooking a dish, and you want to cook a dish, but you don't have a recipe book, it's like someone who's learning Arabic, but he doesn't even know what he's going to cook. Someone who wants to cook a dish, but he doesn't know what he wants to cook. All right. So when you know these sort of things, you can make a better decision regarding which curriculum you want to take, which course you want to take, what you want to look out for in a course. A lot of people, they burn their fingers. They see an Arabic language course being advertised online. There's some good marketing copy. The guy knows how to sell. They sign up. They pay the money just to find out that the course is useless. Why? Because they didn't know what to look out for. What do you look out for? Forget the beautiful speech and the we'll do and we'll do that. When you look at what are the learning objectives of this course, what are the strategies he's going to employ, what are the learning resources he's going to give me, what's the curriculum he's going to focus on. When you don't know what to look out for, then you're someone, basically, like we said, who went out to cook but doesn't even know what he wants to cook. All right. So that's the connection between the first thing that you need, yes, before you whip up a good dish, which is a recipe book. So that's one thing we're going to give, inshallah, in this course, what we like to call the recipe book. Okay? واضح? Okay. Now, someone said, Subhanallah, Sheikh, I've been asking this question for so long. Alhamdulillah. The second thing you need, we said, is ingredients. What are the ingredients of Arabic? Okay. What are the ingredients of the Arabic language? In other words, what are the raw materials? All right. Those things you're going to mix and match. You're going to put together. What are they? Okay. Vocabulary and grammar. Consistency. Okay. Nahu, sarf, vocabulary. Knowing letters, grammar, conversation. Okay. All right. Now, in my analogy, all right, and I hope it's correct, right? Sorry, you can continue voting, by the way. Sorry. In this analogy, the ingredients of the Arabic language is vocabulary, Arabic vocabulary. So what's the connection? Well, vocabulary or ingredients, it's something that you need to have ready in advance. And it needs to be in hand when it's needed. Okay? So you don't start cooking if you're not sure that the ingredients are there. Okay, so vocabulary is the sort of thing that you can start memorizing it even before you start a curriculum, even before you start the Medina book, before you start Bani Yadayk. Just get some flashcards and just memorize as much vocabulary as you can. Okay, this is kind of like stocking up on the ingredient that you are going to eventually need. And it doesn't require any skills. You just have to invest the resources. Just like the way for ingredients, when you go to the shop, you just have to buy it, put the money on the table. When it comes to Arabic, in order to have your ingredients ready, yes, you just need to invest the resource, which in this case is time. You just need to invest the time to memorize these words. And nothing should stop you from acquiring new vocabulary every single day. Nothing should stop you. And it shouldn't be connected to a particular curriculum or the start of the course or the end of a course. This is something you should do on a daily basis. Every day, just learn 5 new words, 10 new words, and just continue going. Naam, the challenge you might have is that where do I get it from? So, just like someone who wants to buy the ingredients, but his local shop doesn't sell it. That's where we come in. We'll help you with that, inshallah. We'll make sure that you've got all the vocabulary that you need ready in terms of flashcards that you can, on Quizlet, that you can, all you need to do is just show up. Spaced, repetition, whatever way that you like. We'll give it to you in whatever format that you like. We've got a whole database of vocabulary for each curriculum, right? With the translation, we'll share that with you. All you need to do is just click, do the flashcards, do the exercises, and gain vocabulary and acquire vocabulary every single day. Okay? And another thing as well about ingredients. If you don't keep them replenished, they will expire, they'll run out. Same thing with your vocab. If you don't revise it, you're going to forget them. Okay, so you have to revise them constantly. Okay? Is that so far so good? The connections make sense? Huh? I hope they do. I hope they make sense so far. Okay? The third one, you need great kitchen skills. Okay? So for example, those of you maybe that don't cook, like me, what's meant by kitchen skills? Things like knife skills, you know, cutting the vegetables and stuff. It's a skill that you need to develop, you know. You can't just like, can't just like bang it on the wall. Like, there's a certain way. There's a technique to cutting, right? Believe it or not. Kneading the dough, there's a technique to it, you know, decorating things. Even multitasking, being able to multitask while something is cooking in the back burner, make sure this one doesn't burn on the front burner, and then still don't forget to check the oven and, you know, all that multitasking stuff, or even stirring things. All of these things, they are kitchen skills that you need to have if you are gonna want to make a complicated dish. I mean, we're not talking here about frying a piece of egg or boiling some egg. Everybody can do that. We're talking about a complicated dish, huh? So, example, how to cut and like. That's what I mean by great kitchen skills. So, what are the basic kitchen skills of Arabic? All right, that you need to have if you truly want to make a nice dish. What are the basic kitchen skills of Arabic? Grammar. Consistency, mashallah. Someone loves consistency. I'm sure because you heard me say consistency so many times. You think it's the right answer? No. Naam. Grammar. Someone wrote nahu and sarf. Yes. You know, in English, when we say grammar in English, it includes both morphology and syntax, i.e. nahu and sarf. Okay, so when we say grammar, it includes both. Some people, they think that grammar means nahu. No. Grammar, that English word, it encompasses nahu and sarf, both of them. Yes, grammar. It can't be vocabulary. We already done vocabulary. Vocabulary are the ingredients. Okay, so the basic kitchen skills of Arabic are the basic Arabic grammar skills. Okay, such as, for example, Arabic pronouns. There's 12 Arabic pronouns, and they're different when they join a word, and you know, the whole Arabic pronouns business. Basic sentence structure, verb and noun conjugation, how to make a verb from past tense to present tense to command. That's a skill you need to develop. If I give you the rules and I tell you, okay, in Madi it looks like this, Mudari it looks like that, you're not going to know it until you practice. That's a skill you have to develop. Same thing with the, like we said, the kitchen skills. If I say to you, hold the knife like this and then cut it like this, okay, I can give you the theory, but until you start doing it and you make mistakes and you do it all the time, until your hand gets used to it, your motor skills, your muscle memory gets used to it, you're not going to develop that skill. That's how you approach grammar skills. You don't approach grammar skills by just passively listening to an explanation of grammar and be like, oh, mashallah, now I'm Sibaway. I know grammar. La. You will never learn Arabic grammar by just listening, ever then, or watching YouTube videos. It's not going to happen. Grammar, it's a practical skill. It's something that you develop by practice. Okay? If I give you the 12 Arabic pronouns, okay? أنا, نحن, أنت, أنت, أنتما, أنتم, أنتن, هو, هي, هما, hum, and hunna. These 12 pronouns. If I give it to you, right? Maybe you can memorize it fine. But if I say to you, okay, turn that into nouns that are attached to the pronouns that are attached to a noun, that's a different story. Okay, now turn them into nouns that are attached to a verb as a subject, as in fa'il. That's a different story. Yes? Things like verb conjugation. There's just so many. It's basically, it's not something that you memorize. It's a pattern that you internalize. Okay? Arabic plural and Arabic numbers. Okay? Singular, dual, plural, Arabic numbers, agreement. Function words. These different function words like huruf al-jar, question words, huruf, the words that are for conditions, the words such as inna wa anna, all these function words, they've got different, you need to practice them so that you understand the different connotations and the different meanings. Agreement, like for example, kitabun wahid, masculine, sayyaratun wahidah, feminine, and so on and so forth, between masculine and feminine. Agreement between number. For example, al-muslimuna faizun, not al-muslimuna faizat, for example, and so on and so forth. This is something that I can give you the rule, but unless you practice it and you make a ton of mistakes and you get corrected, you will never internalize it ever. And that's where most people, they go wrong. They think they can learn grammar by taking a course on YouTube or by just attending a lecture and listening to the teacher. And that's what I went wrong with. I mean, I went wrong last time on the Arabic Essentials course, not because I didn't understand the importance of this, but because I didn't have the time to prepare these exercises that develop these skills, because a lot of hard work to create these kind of exercises, okay? Which we're going to talk about what kind of exercises they are, okay? So these are normally skills you already understand in your mother language or your mother tongue. It just needs to be adapted to Arabic. It's not nothing new you're going to, like, it's not nothing you're going to learn from scratch. Like, they exist in your language, just in Arabic, they might be slightly different. And the only way to develop these skills is to practice them. These are things, if you haven't done them before, and it's the first time you're doing them, then it's worth developing them separately, isolated. Like the way when you're learning a new skill, you learn one stroke, then you learn the second stroke, and then you kind of like connect them together. That's how you develop a skill. Okay? So these skills, they should be practiced in an isolated way. Okay? All right. So for example, when you start the process of cooking and you want to start cooking, you need to be able to be fluent and able to do everything quickly. If you're still struggling with your cutting and stuff, by the time you're done cutting the onion, you know, there's already smoke coming off the pan. It's already burning. Okay. So this is something that before you start the cooking process, which we'll talk about last, yes, you have to reach a level of automaticity, a level whereby you do it without thinking. All right. And automaticity will not come until you break things down into individual parts. You can't become like fluent at something if it's too difficult. You have to break it into smaller parts that are easier to do, and then later on you connect them together. Okay? And we'll talk about that another time, inshallah. It's called deliberate practice. We'll talk about that later. Okay? Okay, now we come to the final one, the actual cooking process. So now you know how to learn Arabic. You have the bigger picture. You have the understanding. You know how to learn it. You've memorized your vocabulary. Yes. You have a grasp of the basic Arabic grammar skills. You can put a sentence together. With the ingredients, you can put a sentence together. So now it's time for the cooking process. So what's the cooking process? What is the cooking process? A minute. What's the cooking process of Arabic, or learning Arabic, if you like? Let me post it on Google Club 1 second. Right. Implementation practice. Okay. Communication orally and written. Oh, you're getting close. Pressure cooker, sit and study at a place. Okay. Mixing it together. Nah, mashallah, mixing it together. Great. I like that. Mashallah. Being able to read and write. Okay, that's half of the answer. But before you're able to read and write, something else comes before that. I was hoping someone gets it. Shall I tell you what? I mean, it's close to the things that you're saying, but in reality, it's called something that people, they talk about, something that you need in order to learn a language. People, they say, if you don't have this, you will never learn a language. Okay? It's called immersion. Immersion. Now you need to be immersed in the language. Okay? Now you have the vocabulary, the ingredients that you need. You have the basic grammar concepts that you need, the kitchen skills. You have your recipe book, right? You have an understanding of what's required. You're mentally prepared. Now it's time to get to business. Now it's time to immerse yourself in the language. Okay? So what's the connection? The connection is that you can't start this process until everything else is ready. Okay, so there's a lot of people that say, yeah, in order to learn a language, you have to immerse yourself. When you learned your mother tongue as a baby, ain't nobody explained the grammar concepts for you on a whiteboard. Nobody gave you flashcards to memorize. This is nonsense. The only way you're going to learn a language is if you immerse yourself in the language. Just go and listen to lectures. Just go and, read books. I say yes and no. This is a misguided concept, misguided way of saying things, and I'll tell you why. Okay? Yes, it's true. We learned our mother tongue through immersion. Okay? However, that is total immersion. However, you guys that are learning this, taking this course now, or anyone else in the West who's trying to learn Arabic, are you truly totally immersed when you're having this lesson? You're not. You're spending 1 hour here, 2 hours there. Yes. So basically, what this does for you, having these things ready, the kitchen skills, ingredients, separating these things and doing them separately, what it does for you is it makes it much easier for you to immerse. Okay. Okay. It works for babies. For babies, immersion works. Why? Because there's nothing else that they do. They're hearing the language for 4 years in a row. Okay. And I'll give you an example, actually. I'll give you an example, right, of this misunderstanding that we have, right? Which is, for example, the Medina books. Most people that learn the Medina books, that do the Medina books, they completely approach it wrong. They don't understand that the Medina books are the grammar curriculum for those students that study in Medina. So to give you a quick story, there was a group of young kids that I used to teach Arabic here in Riyadh a long time ago. And, it's like 4 people that I knew, they brought their kids together and said, Muhammad, come and teach our children. These are expats that live here in Saudi Arabia. They have lived here for almost a decade, if not longer. But their kids still didn't know Arabic. So they said, teach our kids Arabic. I said, okay, fine, I'll teach them Arabic. So I started with them teaching them the Medina books. All right. And after like 3 or 4 months, we're still on the Medina books. One of the parents got upset. And he's like, what's this? 4 months taking too long. They should have finished the book by now. Right? Then I said to him, listen, let's put things in perspective. This book, Medina book that you're talking about, yes, it is a curriculum which focuses on grammar, which is learned or studied by full-time adult students of knowledge at the Islamic University of Medina, who spend 5 hours every morning attending a class live, and then they live in an Arabic-speaking society, and they go to the masjid and listen to durus. Yes, for them, the Medina book is gold because it's the key that unlocks for them the immersion they're already in. You understand? For them, it works. Those students I just talked about, under those circumstances, Medina book 1 takes them 4 months. And now here you are saying to me, my son, who you teach two hours a week, yes, who is busy with school, doing his GCSEs, right? Who the only Arabic he's hearing is from you for 2 hours a week. He's not a full-time dedicated student. You're saying to me that Medina book 1, 4 months is taking too long. How does that make sense? You see what I mean? So the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, you need to approach things the way they're meant to be approached, right? That's why I don't teach Medina books. right? Because it doesn't have enough vocabulary, enough sentences, enough practice to give immersion. Okay, the Medina books is one book. With it comes many other books they learn at the university. Unless you're going to take all these books together, there's no point just taking the Medina book and just doing the grammar. Okay. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make between what's the connection between these three things and the cooking process is that you can't start the cooking process. You can't start to immerse yourself in the language until everything else, I'm not going to say it's fully ready, but at least until you at least have some ingredients, until you have at least some kitchen skills, until at least you have a plan of what you're trying to do. You have a recipe book, you know where you want to reach. Okay. So the amount you need, and this is an important point, pay attention to this. Actually, before I mention that, too many people either start this too early or they start it too late, i.e. the immersion process. Some people are like, like I said, they just like jump into the language. Just listen to Durus of Shaykh Salih Al-Fawzan, you'll pick it up eventually. Maybe you will after 3 years, but nobody's that patient. Okay. So yes, this grammar helps you to unlock. Okay. It's kind of like a shortcut if you like. So some people, they start the immersion process too early. And then when they do not realize any progress after 3 months, and I doubt they will, they give up and they say Arabic's too difficult. And some people, they start the immersion process too late. They said, for example, their problem is that, yes, instead of cooking a dish that they're capable of doing, right, they basically want to cook a Michelin 5-star restaurant dish. Okay, and they never feel like they're ready to start the cooking process. So they're like, okay, I need 2,000 words to memorize. I need to take Ajrumiyya. I need to take Alfiyya. I need to take this book, and they have a whole list of grammar books they want to take. After I do all these books and I memorize so many words, now I'm going to attempt to read a book. La ya, that is too late. That is too late. Okay. So one might say then, okay, so Ustad, what's the measure here then? How do I know when I'm ready for immersion and when not? Well, the amount you need of these previous things we've mentioned, i.e. the ingredients and the basic grammar skills, the amount you need depends on what you're trying to cook. It depends what you're trying to cook. Okay? How does that relate to Arabic? I.e. the vocabulary you need depends on the curriculum you're going to study. So let's say vocabulary is the ingredients. How much of those ingredients do you need, yes, before you can open a curriculum and read it and understand it or read a book? It depends on the vocabulary that book focuses on. That's what it depends on. So if that book is focused on Islamic content, Quran, or the likes, then focus on the most frequent Arabic words used in the Quran or in Islamic, Islamic field. Focus on those and then go and read that book, the Islamic studies book. Now you'll find that immersion will benefit you because you already have like 80% of the vocabulary. And the missing 20% you will understand through context. So that's what it's about. It's about understanding the majority of the sentence. Your brain will fill in the gaps. And as it fills in the gaps, what happens is eventually, this is what immersion is. How do you learn immersion? You learn immersion by having a bit of Arabic and your brain fills in the gaps. Okay? So again, the amount you need depends on what you're cooking. What curriculum? That's why we're doing the Arabic Essentials course. And that's why I said it's catered more towards the Al-Arabiyyatu Bayna Yadayk. So that's the vocabulary we're focusing on. Those are the grammar skills we're focusing on. So that when you start doing Arabiy Bayna Yadayk, you are ready to be immersed in its different conversations and hiwarat and its questions. You can attend a workshop and have a conversation based on those themes within the book. Why? Because you already have the vocabulary, you have the grammar skills. Okay? Now all you're doing, I believe that anyone who's taking a curriculum, you shouldn't take a curriculum to learn new concepts. The curriculum should be a place where you immerse yourself in the language, where you put what you've learned to practice. That's what the curriculum should be about. Okay? So this is basically where the previous three things, they come together. This is where you deliver the end product. This is basically the result. Do you understand? And I think some of you put it that way as well. Some of you said, now is when you assemble things, when you mix things together. Okay? And that's when you'll end up with the result. That's when you will see progress. That's when you will be like, subhanallah, I can't believe it. I just opened this book, Usul al-Thalath, explanation by Shaykh Salih Al-Fawzan, and I understand it. I can't believe it. How did I do that? Okay? Because that's what will happen. Most of us, and I'm sure most of you can relate to this, that have learned a language or the Arabic language, which is that You just wake up one day realizing you understand the language. You know, it's funny. It's really funny. Because you'll go through all of these months and years like, oh, someone says you, هل تفهم اللغة العربية؟ لا لا قليل شوية شوية. You feel like you don't know it. Up until one day something just clicks. You're like, wait a minute, I actually understand. One moment, one day you're just praying salah behind the imam. You're like, wait a minute, did I understand that verse? Did I understand this surah? From that moment in time, when that clicks and you realize that you understand the language, this is when your brain opens up. This is when you start noticing things. This is when you start learning things. This is now, that's what I call the confidence barrier. Wallahi, all of us have this. Even when it comes to speaking Arabic. When I came here to this country, Saudi Arabia, I was someone who already understood the Arabic language. As a matter of fact, I was teaching Arabic. Okay? I was reading Arabic books, advanced Arabic books, right? But having said that, still having a conversation with an Arab was something that I was afraid of, something that was difficult. And it's not because I didn't have the words, not because I didn't have the knowledge. I did, it was stuck somewhere. But there was this barrier, it's called the confidence barrier. Okay? And when I came to the Jamia, the university, and they asked me, do you know how to speak Arabic? I'm like, I understand Arabic, but I can't speak. Okay? But the reality is I can speak, but I'm not confident enough. So after going to the Jamia and attending the Ma'had for a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, khalas, now I'm fluent all of a sudden. Did I gain fluency over the course of a month? Of course not. It's just that the floodgates have been opened. Because now I'm trying things out. Now I'm having a go. Before I wasn't having a go. Just because I felt like I don't know it, I don't understand, I wasn't having a go. But now I'm having a go. When you break that barrier and you start having a go, that's when we say, MashaAllah. You know, that's when you start to make progress. So this is basically the things that this course, inshallah, will consist of. Okay? The immersion process is what we'll work towards, inshallah. But the other three is what I deliver in this course. Now, let's talk about the steps to cooking our weekly dish. So what's a sample week look like? Based on what we just done. This is how it looks like. First, you memorize your vocabulary, i.e. the ingredients. You memorize. It's all about consistency. You start today, you keep going. It's the easiest thing to do and measure. A poor vocabulary bank will be what limits you the most. Your number one limiting factor in this language is going to be your vocabulary bank. That's one thing. So just keep going. Secondly, you're going to comprehend. You're going to realize. You're going to have this bigger picture of how to learn the Arabic language, which is your recipe book. You're going to get an overview of the language and the things that make it unique. This is going to make you excited to learn. You're going to have a better picture of what path to take. Okay? You're going to know, for example, how to acquire vocabulary. How do you memorize vocabulary? You're going to fill in the gaps in your understanding. If you already learned Arabic before and there are gaps, we'll try to fill those gaps. Yes, and you have to see the forest for the trees, what they call seeing the forest for the trees. In other words, you need to discern the overall pattern from the details, as opposed to being overwhelmed by the details to the point where it obscures the overall situation. That's what happens to most people. They focus too much on grammar, concepts that are very detailed, and they go so deep into it that they forget the bigger picture. And now they're confused, and then they say to you, grammar is difficult. It's not difficult. Your approach is wrong. Then you're going to apply. So memorize before the lecture as much as you can. In the lecture, comprehend, get a bigger picture. After the lecture, you're going to apply. This way you build your Arabic grammar skills, the basic kitchen skills. The theory will not sink in until you put it to practice. And in order to put the language to use, you have to reach a stage of automaticity, like we said. Before you start cooking, you have to be fluent. You have to be quick in your cutting skills. Otherwise, like we said, the pan is going to burn before you're done cutting the onions. Same thing here. You won't be able to have that conversation with someone and to speak unless you've reached the stage of automaticity when it comes to your, let's say, your pronouns. You can't be thinking, be like, okay, ana was singular, nahnu was plural. And you can't like go through the list. Nobody's going to wait for you. This has to be automatic. Going from past tense to present tense, the verb. You know the past tense of the verb. That's what you've memorized in the flashcards. But now you want to use the present tense. You need to conjugate it. Has to happen in it like that. Has to happen like that. Now you want to use the plural form. Has to happen like that. Automaticity. And you're not going to reach that you're not going to reach a stage of automaticity, which we've talked about before, what it means automaticity. We'll leave that for another time. You can return back to the previous lectures. This requires plenty of deliberate practice. Now, I'm going to spend a little time on explaining what deliberate practice is, because wallahi, this is the core of what this course is about. Like we said, this is the one thing that the previous course was missing, which we're going to absolutely put our effort into, which is giving you enough deliberate practice. So what is deliberate practice? Okay, so pay attention with me, huh? This is deliberate practice. So, deliberate practice let me just click on it. Okay, what's deliberate practice? It refers to a special type of practice that is purposeful and systematic. Okay, so not all forms of practice and all the exercises you see in different books are the same. Some are designed to be deliberate practice, and some of them are what we call regular practice. So regular practice might include mindless repetition, whereas deliberate practice requires focused attention and is conducted with the specific goal of improving performance. So the exercise itself, it has a specific goal, that you learn your pronouns by the end of these exercises. It's got a specific goal. It's not just for the sake of busying you. And it requires focused attention. So for example, if it's a multiple choice question, then the alternative answers are going to be challenging alternative answers. They're going to be alternative answers that make sense, if you like, that confuse you, as opposed to you knowing the right answer just because you know all the other answers are wrong. Okay, that's not called deliberate practice. That's just mindless repetition, you know. So this psychologist, he says that one of his core findings was that how expert one becomes at a skill has more to do with how one practices than with merely performing a skill a large number of times. So you might perform a skill many times, like for example, going to the gym, right? Or for example, any other sport, playing football, boxing, whatever. You might play football your whole life, yes? But unless you practice football and you perform the skill the way it should be, you're always going to be an average football player. That's the difference between professional football players and average football. Average football players, they're always on the pitch playing football. Whereas professional football players, no, they do deliberate practice to develop with specific goals in mind. Okay, so it's more about how you practice than how much you practice. In other words, it's more about the quality than the quantity. Is this exercise the exercise that has been designed perfectly or not? So an expert, he breaks down the skills that are required to be an expert and focuses on improving those skill chunks during practice or day-to-day activities, often paired with immediate coaching feedback. Now, I won't be next to you giving you immediate coaching feedback, but however, the platforms that we use will give you immediate feedback. Okay, so it's going to have the correct answer or the wrong answer. You make a mistake, you're going to get immediate, what we call remediation. Automatically, you're going to know it straight away if you made a mistake or not, as opposed to waiting for 10 days until the teacher marks your work. And that's a big problem with the manual books and stuff when you're studying and you just write into the book and then you have to take that to the teacher marks it. By the time he marks your mistake, you already forgot it. Okay? So another important feature of deliberate practice lies in continually practicing a skill at more challenging levels. That's another important point as well. Look, effective exercises are those that get the balance right between being too easy or too difficult. Those exercises that are too easy, student gets bored, he stops doing it. And he doesn't gain any new skills anyway. Those exercises that are too difficult, now the student's not going to do them because he finds it too challenging, too difficult. You got 10 questions wrong in a row. He's like, this is not for me. He's going to leave it. So you have to get the balance right. And there's no way to get the balance right if you want to paint everyone with one brush. So you need to have some kind of adaptive system. So that's why the tool that we use, Quizzes, is got this adaptive system whereby it asks you a question, you get it wrong, it's going to ask you more of those questions. You get it right, it's going to ask you less of those questions, and so on and so forth. Same thing with spaced repetition, also has this adaptive feature to it. Okay? All right, Mumtaz. Sorry, I had to go a little bit into detail when it comes to deliberate practice because I believe this is the most important thing. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of isolating Arabic grammar skills for deliberate practice. So Arabic pronouns, for example, a lot of people, a lot of teachers, specifically the Egyptian teachers or those teachers that are native Arab speakers, they don't they don't give you skill chunks. They give you everything in one go. They throw the whole kitchen sink at you. And the reason they do that is because it goes back to what they call the curse of knowledge. For them, they think it's easy. They haven't learned the Arabic language from scratch. They think ana, anta, huwa, hiya, and the 12 pronouns and turning them into pronouns that are attached to. They think it's easy. They're like, you know what? My 3-year-old son can do this. Yes, he can, because he's a native Arab speaker. But for us, it's different. So they'll throw the 12 pronouns at you in one go. Whereas instead, what should be done, it should be done in stages. And that's how Beni Yadayk does it. Yes? So first you master the singular pronouns, there are 5 in total. Ana, anta, anti, hu, and hiya. You master these 5 first. Okay? You master them when they're isolated. These 5 I just told you. Ana, anta, anti, hu, and hiya. Then you learn them when they're attached. So they have 2 different forms. When they're attached to nouns, as an object of maf'ulun bihi, they have a certain form, they look in a certain way. And when they're attached to verbs as subjects, as fa'il, they look differently as well. So first you learn this one. So that's 5 times 2. Now you got 10 different forms. Then you learn this one. Another 5, that's 15 different forms. So the 5 turned into 15. Okay? And we're just doing the singular only. We didn't even go to plural yet. We already have 15 different forms that you need to know the difference and when to use each. Okay? So for example, when you want to use the fa'il, you say, dakhaltu, I entered. Okay? All right? Or for example, if you want to say, I hit, you say, darabtu. The 2 now is the fa'il, is the person who did it. Whereas if you want to say, he hit me, you don't say darabtu, you say darabani. Okay? So what's the difference between darabtu and darabani? That's what you have to learn. Okay? When you do that, when you learn the singular, then you go on to the plural. When you learn the plural, then finally you do the dual. And the reason we do dual last is because it's the least used form. The least likely to come across a dual form than you are singular and plural, specifically in the Quran or any other curriculum. Mumtaz? So that's when you apply. Then we come to explore, the explore phase. Okay? This is where you immerse the cooking process. Now you go, you read books, we recommend you different books or different curriculums, you just read them. Even if no teacher explains them. Yani, the idea is that if you memorize the vocabulary for Beni Yadayk, you know the grammar concepts covered in Beni Yadayk, you should be able to read the conversations in Arabic Beni Yadayk and understand them. That's the theory. Let's see if it works. All right? So now you are ready to learn from the best teacher of all. Once you get to this level, you've got the 3 things, you are ready to learn from the best teacher of all. Me. No, I'm just joking. Not me. Who's the best teacher of all? Huh? You're already learning from me, alhamdulillah. But I want to get you to a level whereby you can learn from the best teacher of all. I mean, I'm sure those of you that have attended before, you know the answer to this question. So I would say, hold out a little bit. Let's see if the new students know the answer to this question. Who is the best teacher of all that you can learn Arabic from? Okay, and I want to get you to that level whereby this teacher gets to teach you. Allah and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no. Allah doesn't teach you Arabic. Allah has revealed His Quran in Arabic. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke Arabic, but I'm talking actually about learning from this. Okay? By yourself. The best teacher of all is yourself? Not really. You're the student. You still need a teacher. This is the answer. And if you are someone who has not heard this from me before, Allahumma barik, you are very smart. The best teacher of all, my dear brothers and sisters, is the Arabic language itself. Do you understand? The best, if you get to a level whereby you're learning the language through the language, mashallah, all you need to do is just continue reading and you'll continuously gain more and more Arabic. I remember a student called me a long time ago. He asked me, he said, Ustad, it was when I was teaching my Beni Yadayk course. And he said, Ustad, he said to me, if I study with you all 4 books of Arabi Beni Yadayk, will I know all of Arabic? That was his question. I said to him, no chance. Nobody knows all of Arabic. I don't know all of Arabic. Just like Imam al-Shafi'i said, لا يحيط بلغة إلا نبي. He said, no one encompasses a language completely from all its angles except a prophet. Okay? I said to him, that's impossible. And I said to him, if you think that these curriculums have been written to teach you all of Arabic or even anything close to it, then you're mistaken. That's not why they wrote these curriculums. These curriculums have been written so that you reach a level whereby you don't need a book anymore to learn, because you're learning by just listening to lectures. You're learning by just conversing with people. You're learning by just reading a fiction or non-fiction book, right? You don't need a textbook anymore. You don't need someone to explain things to you anymore. Your brain now is filling in the gaps. This is what you got from immersion, and this is where I want to get you to, this level. It might take a while, but like I said, it depends on what you want to cook. I'll give you books that you should be able to understand at your level. That gives you confidence. Then you learn a bit more skills, more grammar, more vocab. Then I'll give you another book, and so on and so forth. So the more you immerse yourself, the more you learn. Okay, but first you have to start with a structured, scaffolded curriculum. You have to start with a curriculum that starts from the basic and builds you up. You can't start off immersion like we said, the first book you find on the bookshelf. Oh, khalas, let me immerse myself in Arabic. Oh, here we go. Fath al-Qadir by Shawkani. Let me read it. Oh, I don't understand this. Oh my, I don't think I can do this. Arabic's too difficult. Let me try something else. I'll just suffice with translators for now. That's how it goes typically. Wallahi. Allah musta'an. Tayyib. One last thing. There's one thing missing. There's one thing missing. Who knows? So think about, you want to cook, right? You have ingredients, you have the recipe book, you got basic kitchen skills, you want to start the cooking process, but there's one thing missing. What is that? There is one thing missing. What is that? You can mention what that is, either based on our analogy. You can look at, okay, if I'm cooking and I've got these things, what is missing? Or what you can do is, you can look at it from the Arabic side of things and be like, okay, if I have vocabulary, grammar, I know how to learn Arabic, I'm immersing myself. What is one thing that I need for all of these four things? A mentor, yeah, you need a teacher, you need a mentor, or you need all of that, no doubt. But this is the one thing that, you know what, maybe not one thing. There's probably a few things missing. You lot are right. Effort is missing. Patience is missing. Mentor is missing. But what I mean by that is, if we talk about the Arabic language itself, what you're missing is you're missing the tools. You're missing the tools. All right. Now, before you start cooking, you don't need utensils, yani. And if you have ingredients, you have a recipe book, you've got, you have your kitchen skills, you want to start cooking, but you don't have a pan. You don't have a fork. You don't have a knife. That's not going to happen, sah. Yes, the tools are missing. And the tools in this regard, what would the tools be in this regard? What would be the Arabic language tools in this context that you need before all of these four things? Someone mentions a stove. Yeah, you're correct, stove. So what would be the Arabic language tools in this context that you need? A book? No. We're talking about the Arabic language, huh? Look, the cooking analogy, that's the tangible analogy. That's the physical analogy. Whereas learning Arabic language is something abstract. So to explain to you, we use analogies in order to help you understand something. So we take something that's physical, something that you can see, something that is concrete, yes, to explain something that's abstract, something that's not physical, that you can't really see. The process of learning the Arabic language is something abstract. It's not something concrete. Whereas cooking a dish is something concrete, something that is physical. So the tool when it comes to cooking is, you need the tools. You need the knife, you need a stove, you need these tools. But when it comes to Arabic language, don't say something like a book. La. Now you've gone physical. We're not talking about physical stuff. I talk about these abstract things. Vocabulary we mentioned. Dialect, no. Dialect you learn after you learn the Fusha. What you need is the ability to read. You need to be able to recognize the Arabic letters. You need to be able to recognize Arabic sounds. So every language has two systems. One thing we call orthography and phonology. It's got a writing system, yes, and it's got a sound system. All right. So if you want to learn Arabic, صح, You want to learn the vocabulary, you want to learn the grammar skills, but you don't even recognize the Arabic alphabet letters. You don't know how to read. Or you do recognize the letters, but you don't recognize Arabic sounds. As in the ayn and the hamza sounds the same to you. If I say to you kalb and qalb sounds like the same thing, even though kalb means dog, qalb means heart. Kaf and qaf, it sounds like the same thing to you. You haven't developed that skill to differentiate between different sounds. And a lot of non-native Arabs, specifically from the West, they struggle with this. Okay? Ayn and hamza, ha and ha, qaf and kaf. You say a word to them, they mishear you. You say to them mubtada, they think you said mubtadi'. It's a problem. Okay? So this is something you need before all of these 4 things. And this is something that the Arabic Essentials course is assuming you already have. If you don't have that, you can't read Arabic yet. You can't differentiate between the Arabic sounds. Then I've done the Quran reading course, take that course. It's recorded, it's on YouTube, watch it. And inshallah, we're going to do it again 2 or 3 months from now. Before Ramadan, we'll make sure we do another cohort, right? That's the course for you to learn the sounds, to learn the letters, learn how to read. If you know how to read, you know your sounds, but you're struggling with a few sounds here and there, ayn and hamza, just a few here and there, then I've got exercises for you, which I will give to you in the Arabic Essentials course as well, just to perfect your sound recognition, all right? But the point I'm trying to make is that these are the tools. If you don't have the tools, you don't have the utensils, you don't have the stove, you don't have the knife, you don't have the pan. Doesn't matter if you have the ingredients and the recipe book, you know how to cook, you're going nowhere. You're going nowhere. Okay? Same thing. If you don't know how to read Arabic, then there is no way you're going to learn Arabic. And that's why reading is integral to learning. And what better proof can I give you than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's statement, the first word revealed in the Quran, Iqra, read. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم. Allah says, Allah, He's the one that has taught us by way of the pen. We learn by way of the pen, by way of reading and writing. So if your reading and writing skills are weak or they're not there, this is going to be a major handicap for you in your journey to learning Arabic. And so many people, they overlook this. They can't read fluently. They can't pronounce the letters properly. They can't recognize the sounds properly. And then they struggle. They struggle a lot. They can't even do the homework. When it comes to homework, they need to type the homework, and for each letter, they're looking for 10 minutes. Okay, initially, it's understood. It might be difficult, but that's one of the benefits of these practice sessions, online practice, because you'll get better at typing Arabic as well. Okay? Which is an integral skill, really. Right, that's the sample week layout. I think we're done for that. We've completely gone over time. So I just want to share with you now the action steps, right? The action steps. You have to do these things. I'm going to post all the assignments, all the exercises and everything on our community platform, inshallah ta'ala, which you'll hear more of tomorrow. But for now, make sure you have joined the Telegram channel to start with. That's number 1. The channel for the Arabic Essentials course, because if you don't join that channel, you're going to miss information, you're going to miss resources, you're going to miss things you need, right? So if you have not joined the channel yet, and this is for all of you here live, I'm posting it in the Zoom chat, or for those of you that are watching it on YouTube, I'll post it in the description. Make sure you join the channel. There we go. All right. And also join the main Telegram channel. Okay. The main Telegram channel is also very important because that's where I normally send reminders and, specifically about the community platform and stuff. You're going to receive that information there. Join the main channel as well. There we go. If you do those things and you join Telegram, alhamdulillah, that's great. Fill out the registration form if you haven't already. I've shared that a long time ago. Fill out the registration form. It tells us about the amount of hours you have available. It tells us about your Arabic level and the likes. I mean, you answered those questions today maybe, but that was anonymously. All right. There's the link to the registration form. Barakallah feek. And inshallah, when I send the community platform, join the community platform. That's where I'm going to send all the resources, the recordings, the blah, blah, blah. Everything's going to be there, inshallah. That's before we used to use Google Classroom, but Google Classroom didn't work for large numbers of students. So this will be more suitable, inshallah. And also, when I post suggested clips on the channel from previous cohort, watch it. So things that I've explained before, like for example, the overview of the science of the Arabic language. I was going to explain that today, but I already explained it last time, so there's no point. I'm going to post that clip on the channel, watch it. This will give you an overview of the sciences of the Arabic language. Like we said, it gives you the bigger picture. This part of the recipe book. All right? Barakallah feekum. And obviously, I'm going to send a lot of practice exercises as well. We're going to start off with the vocabulary. I'll send you a long list of vocabulary on Quizlet. Just make sure you do every day 10 words, 20 words, whatever you can. And then we're going to start with the grammar exercises, inshallah ta'ala. We'll start off. The first skill we're going to cover are the Arabic pronouns. Okay? We'll do a lot of practice on that. And also for sound recognition, those of you that struggle with recognizing sounds, I'll send you some exercises on those, whereby you basically, they're called minimal pairs. In other words, two words that are the exact same, the only difference is one sound. For example, kalb and qalb. So then you're going to find the guy, he's going to read one of the two. He's going to either say kalb or qalb, one of the two, and you have to choose which one he pronounced. So you're going to have kalb and qalb written with kaf and qaf. He's going to pronounce one of them, and you have to pick one of them. This is the best way to develop your sound recognition skills. Because now we've isolated the skill, and you're getting immediate feedback. If he says kalb and you choose qalb, he's going to say to you it's wrong. And then you can listen to it again, and now you can contrast between the kaf and the qaf. When you do that enough times and you contrast between each minimal pair, it's just a matter of time before you recognize when somebody actually said mubtadi' or mubtada'. You'll know the difference, because now you know the difference between ayn and hamza. You recognize the difference. Okay? Barakallah feekum. All right, so we'll suffice with that. I did put on the event page, the lecture is hour and a half. So I learned from my mistake last time. Last time I put an hour, and then people are like, Ustad, I thought the lesson is going to take an hour. You went over time. La. I think this is one of the first times I need to congratulate myself, whereby I stuck to the amount of time I have allocated for the lesson. So alhamdulillah. I said 1 hour and a half. And right now, as you can see, we have 5 minutes left for the hour and a half, because we started a little bit late. We got 5 minutes left. Those 5 minutes, inshallah, were dedicated to answering your questions. So I really hope I keep that up, inshallah. Someone's asking, what does nahu mean? Nahu means syntax. What does syntax mean? Syntax basically means difference between. Syntax basically is what's the function of a word within a sentence. So you have vocabulary, right? If I take like each sentence made of 5 words, let's say we have a sentence made of 5 words, right? Within the sentence, you have the name Muhammad, the noun Muhammad. You also have the noun Khalid. You have the verb hit. And then you have the preposition with. And then you have another noun, the noun, let's say, hammer. Okay. Okay. Now, you got these 5 words in a sentence. You got Muhammad, you got Khalid, you got hammer, we have with, we have hit. Okay, now you tell me what happened. You tell me what happened. Okay? That's grammar. Grammar basically is who did what. So if I say, for example, Muhammad hit Khalid with a hammer, that's different from Khalid hit Muhammad with a hammer. Okay? واضح? And it's way different from the hammer hit Khalid with Muhammad, which doesn't make sense. Right? That one definitely, you know it's wrong. Okay? But you'll get confused sometimes. Who did what? If it wasn't for grammar, and grammar in Arabic, this you'll understand this when you watch the video on an overview of the science of Arabic language. I talk about it in detail, but I just try to give it to you in a very simple way. In English, syntax is fixed, as in it depends on which word comes first. If I say Muhammad first, he did the hitting. If I say Khalid first, he did the hitting. Muhammad hit Khalid. Muhammad is the perpetrator. Khalid is the victim. Khalid hit Muhammad. Khalid is the perpetrator. Muhammad is the victim. But Arabic doesn't work like that. Arabic is a free word order system. The word can be anywhere. You can mix it up, right? So it could be that Khalid hit Muhammad, but Khalid is mentioned after Muhammad. So how do you know who did what? That's why Arabic uses a vowel system, fatha, kasra, and dhammas at the end to show you who did what. This is what we call nahu. This is what is called in linguistics syntax. Okay, and that's different from morphology, which basically is the origin of words and the likes. واضح? What happens after we finish this course with you? What happens after you finish this course with me, inshallah, you'll be ready to take a curriculum, preferably, and I would advise you to take Al-Arabiya to Bani Yadayk. And it happens to be that after this lesson, I will start cohort. I'll start level 1 over again for Al-Arabiya to Bani Yadayk. So if you want to join us, I say ahlan wa sahlan, you can join us for the Arabic conversational course. Or if you find anyone else that's teaching Arabiya to Bani Yadayk, then join that course. Or if you can't find Bani Yadayk, but you want to do Medina books, then you can do it. Okay, you can do it. But like I said, this course is a little bit catered more towards Bani Yadayk in terms of the vocabulary and the grammar. Okay. So basically, after this course, the idea is that you take a curriculum that is catered for non-native Arabic speakers to learn the Arabic language. And I would advise with Al-Arabiya to Bani Yadayk. So is it better to learn Arabiya Bani Yadayk before Medina books? In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, yes, because it's a much more complete program. It has reading skills, writing skills, speaking, listening. It has everything. It's the full package. Whereas Medina book is just grammar. So Medina book, I would advise someone to do Medina book if he lives in maybe in Egypt or in Saudi Arabia, or he's in an environment where he is immersed in the language. Then I'll say to you, no problem. Since you're immersed in the language, you're hearing the language all the time. Now you can do some grammar. That will be the key for you. But if he's just going to do Medina book alone with no immersion, you won't benefit much, because grammar only comes to life when it's implemented in your daily life. Okay, so there's no point, in my opinion, to have a grammar intensive approach if you're not going to be in a place where you're immersed in the language. Okay, that's why Bani Yadayk, I advise with Bani Yadayk because there's more immersion in it. It's got everything basically. Okay, so okay, you might not be immersed in the language like someone who lives in Arab society, but for those hours that you are studying Bani Yadayk, you're immersed in the language. And for the course that we do, the Arabic conversational course, we have the lecture and we have weekly workshops, daily workshops, right? Every week, apart from Friday, right? So you can basically be immersed in the language on a daily basis. You can book a session with the teacher, a small group session of 5 students, where you speak, where you read, where you get help the pronunciation. And we're kind of like trying to recreate a bit of immersion, right? We can't do the 100%, but in order to learn the language, you have to be immersed. You have to be immersed. Barakallah fiqh. Allah yahfaظك. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. You explained it well. Allah yahfadkum. Where do I find those curriculum? Which one? Arabiya to Bani Yadayk? It's found everywhere. It's found everywhere. If you study Bani Yadayk, would you still need to do Medina books? Now, that's a good question. I just told you the strong points of Bani Yadayk and the weak points of Medina book. Now, let's flip the coin. Bani Yadayk has its weak points. One of them, the fact that, the biggest weak point of Bani Yadayk is that grammar is a second-class citizen. They do not focus on grammar whatsoever, specifically in book 1. And then when you go to big book 2, it's such a major gap between book 1 and book 2, because book 1 is missing the grammar. So I remember when I was teaching Bani Yadayk to my students, right? I mean, there's a group of students that have finished group 1 with them, and there's a group now we're finishing book 1 or level 1, which is book 1 and book 2. We're going to finish it inshallah ta'ala the coming 2 or 3 weeks. So I don't have experience with this group, but the previous group I done level 1 with, which is 2 books, is that when we went into book 2 or level, it's a bit confusing. Mustawa al-Thalith is called, basically it's book 3. When you start going to book 3, yes, all of the grammar concepts that they would come across would be something we already done, because I felt it was necessary to cover it before. So we didn't really do much grammar in book 3 and book 4 because something they already done. It was just kind of revision for them. And I'm doing the same thing here with the Arabic Essentials course. I'm kind of like giving you a bit of grammar before you start book 1, right? Because I believe that, like we gave, the example we gave, I believe that these basic grammar skills and the vocabulary, I see them as ingredients. I see them as things that you should have before you're immersed in the language, before you even go into the curriculum. Do you understand? And that's the point of this whole Arabic Essentials course. It's kind of like an introductory course into Bayni Yadayk. Okay? So with that, why am I doing this? Because I'm trying to fill the gap inside Bayni Yadayk, which is their lack of grammar. So we're filling the gap even before we get started. Now, if you don't do the Arabic Essentials course and you're someone who just wants to go to Bayni Yadayk straight away, then yes, definitely. After you finish Bayni Yadayk, you're probably going to need to take Medina books as well, because there's so many grammar concepts that you haven't done. Okay? So if we kind of like were to combine Medina books and Bayni Yadayk, that would be the perfect scenario, albeit really difficult because the vocabulary and the conversations and the whole theme is different. But I'm trying to do that now with the Essentials course. So I took out all the grammar concepts inside level 1 of Bayni Yadayk, and I'm trying to give it to you before you even start Bayni Yadayk, so that when we start the book, and this is the idea, when we start the book and you see the sentence and you read the conversation, we are going to implement and practice what you've already been exposed to, as opposed to me then and then, because it takes away. Bayni Yadayk is all about just having the conversations, reading the conversations, having the workshops, doing speaking. That's what the authors of the book want. That's how they laid out their book. They are saying, hey, grammar, no grammar. They're saying to you, you have this sentence, it's like a template sentence, memorize it. That's why my teacher used to make me memorize the conversations as if it's Quran. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, ismi Khalil Masmuk. I used to memorize it because that's the idea behind the book. The idea behind the book is these are template sentences. Memorize this template and then just replace the words with the words that you need. So for example, you go to the shop and you say, أريد كتابا من فضلك. Okay? So that's the template sentence. So then they say to you, okay, now we're going to practice on how to replace kitaban with another word. So let's do a scenario whereby you are in a fruit and vegetable shop. So now you say, أريد تفاحا من فضلك. Okay? And you're just replacing these words. So they want you to memorize the sentence, which I believe is okay. It's okay for someone who just literally wants to learn Arabic only to have conversations. That's it. So let's say someone, maybe non-Muslim or a newly practicing Muslim, or even a Muslim who's moving to an Arab-speaking country, and his number one priority is that, you know what, I want to be able to have a conversation with my Arab colleagues. Okay, so for him, we say to him, memorize this template. Don't ask how it works. Don't ask any questions. Just memorize this template and replace it with words that you need. That makes sense for him. Makes sense. But all of you here, most of you, if not all of you today in this lesson, you don't want to learn Arabic language in order to have conversation with people. Your number one objective is in order to understand the Quran. Now, when your reasons to understand the Quran, then the approach of Bayni Yadayk is not ideal. The way it is now, we're just ignoring grammar. Okay? So that's why I'm trying to introduce the grammar into Bayni Yadayk. But right now, the way I'm doing things now is teaching Bayni Yadayk. As the grammar concept comes up, I explain it, but I think it takes away from the practice that we should be having. So for the next cohort, or the next time we start from scratch, I want to start with a group of students who have already explained the grammar to. They already understand the grammar, what's behind it. Yes. And now we go to Bayni Yadayk, and it's just a matter of implementing what we've learned on these different conversations and then implementing it inside the workshops. And I don't spend time on explaining things. And for those students that forgot it, that are not sure, they need to revise it, I say to them, no problem. The Arabic Essentials course is fully recorded. You need to go back to this clip to remind yourself of this concept. When you remind yourself, you watch the video, yalla, come back to the workshop and let's put it to practice. I hope that clears things up, inshallah. What if I do both books simultaneously? You'll be absolutely confusing yourself. Never take 2 books simultaneously in the same subject, ever. That's a big no-no. That's why Sheikh Salih Al-Usaymi, Hafidhahullah, he's got this book called Ta'zeem al-Ilm, and he talks about how to approach seeking of knowledge. And he mentions a famous proverb used by the Shanaqita or the Shinqitis, or people from Mauritania. They have a famous proverb. They say, التوأمان إذا استبقا لم يخرجا. Okay? Or something around those lines. In other words, two twins. Twins. Not two twins. One set of twins. Okay? In the stomach or in the belly of their mother. If they compete with each other to come out, none of them will come out. That's the same thing with taking two books simultaneously. You're going to get nowhere. It's like two twins trying to compete. They're competing on coming out, right? None of them. They'll both stay in there, right? Same thing. Never, ever take two books on the same subject at the same time. Specifically as a beginner. I do that as a content creator, as a teacher. I go back to multiple resources, but I already understand the content. I'm just trying to find the best of each and put it together, make my own content out of it. That's fine. But for someone who wants to understand something from scratch, never take two books at the same time. Why? Because this guy's explaining in a certain way. He's explaining in a certain way. This guy decided to omit something for the sake of simplicity. And you have to know that when you're learning something as a beginner, it's always simplified. Always things are left out. Okay? So that you, like we said, understand things step by step. So this author, he left out certain things. This author left out certain things. You look at both of them and you think there's a contradiction, and you're going to think that one is correct and one is wrong. And you're going to find it very difficult to combine between the two. Well, never take two books at the same time on the same subject. Barakallah feekum. Right. If you just want to understand Quran and Hadith, is Medina book good? Wallahi, Medina book is good if, along with Medina book, you are also taking another book or another curriculum that will give you more immersion. But if it's just the Medina book, then it's dry. Medina book by itself, unless you add supplementary material, is going to be dry because there's not enough practice in there. There's not enough immersion. There's not enough examples. There's not enough, which is understood from the author's perspective, because it's written for students in Jamia Islamiyah. But for you, you take the Medina book, the exercises are going to run out, and they will run out. And that's one of the things, inshallah, that makes this course unique, which is our exercises are electronic. Whereas every single book on the face of the earth, yes, it's gonna be limited in the number of exercises because it's a book. It's something physical that has to be printed. Okay? So even though you need to practice this concept 100 times, the book's only gonna have 10 examples. But in this kind of course, which is online, no problem. I've got a question bank with thousands of examples on one concept. Yes, and you can continue having a go at it, and the question will keep on changing so that you don't memorize the answer, and it will not stop until you feel like you got the hang of it. And that's one of the benefits of electronic courses or courses that are online that are using tools. Yes. So again, Medina book, it's kind of limited when it comes to the exercises in there, which means you don't have enough opportunity to practice the grammar concept. I'm already doing Medina book, so after finish the Arabic Essentials, should I continue Medina book 1 or jump to Bani Yadayk? Well, I'm not going to tell you to leave a course that you're doing at the moment. That's not for me to decide. But you're definitely going to need Bani Yadayk. Sooner or later, you're going to need Bani Yadayk because Bani Yadayk will give you the opportunity to implement and bring to life what you've learned. Is taking first book of Bani Yadayk, then first book of Medina, then second book of Bani Yadayk, then second book of Medina going okay? No. Because the first book of Bani Yadayk will teach you a certain number of grammar concepts. And then you take the first book of Medina, you're basically repeating what you've done in Bani Yadayk, but then in a different order, which is itself going to confuse you. Right? So no. The only way is if someone combines between the two, an actual teacher, he looks at it, and he combines and he gives priority to one curriculum. Because there's no way you can combine two things that are not the same unless one thing is the default and you add onto that from something else. So one is the default and then you add to it from the other one, the missing pieces. Or you do something like this, the Arabic Essentials course, to get that which is from grammar concepts within Bani Yadayk. Yes, you get it in one place. And that was the problem with Bani Yadayk that I had, which is it does these grammar concepts, it doesn't explain it, but they are there within the conversations, and they are scaffolded, as in they do kind of like build up slowly. But the problem is that they're scattered. they're scattered. And when grammar concepts become scattered, it becomes difficult for the student to understand it because they're scattered now. Grammar is best understood when you have the bigger picture. And that's the purpose of the Arabic Essentials course. This course, wallahi, it is born out of a need that I had when teaching my students Al-Arabiyyah Bayna Yadayk. Okay, this basically how this course came about. Okay, and inshallah, maybe in the future, if I start teaching Medina books again, which I haven't for a long time, then maybe out of necessity, I might decide to create an Arabic Essentials course that is more catered towards the Medina books. Barakallah fikum. طيب, we'll suffice with that inshallah ta'ala. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا Muhammad. Before we wrap up, please, what's your feedback? What resonated with you? And yani, what are your key takeaways? Yani, please share that with me. I always love to ask this question at the end, and you will also get an email that, ask for your feedback as well, mainly so that we can improve the courses and so that I also know where to make the clips. So I want to take this video, take some clips out of it to make things easier for you to access it and easier for you to share as well with family and friends. But please help me in deciding what's worth clipping and what's not. حياك الله, بارك الله فيك. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد. Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah, I really enjoyed the way you bring us the Arabic perspective to non-Arab natives. I really love your approach. It's more implementable and a fun way to learn the language. May Allah ta'ala make it better and better, inshallah ta'ala. It's a long journey for me. Still ongoing journey, inshallah. We hope it gets better. And, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his blessings, this wouldn't have been possible without your support, without you guys being here, honoring me with, being here and listening to it and benefiting from it. Without your feedback and then, barakallah feekum. So, inshallah, it's a journey and we continue, inshallah ta'ala, towards that mission, inshallah ta'ala, which I want all of you to share with me. I want all of you to have the same mission, which is to empower the ummah by spreading the Arabic language so that every Muslim has the ability to connect with the Quran, with the Hadith, to understand his religion without relying on translators or his local imam or the like, because that is how innovations, how shirk, and how evil has spread amongst the ummah through ignorance. And ignorance, the biggest root of ignorance is not knowing the Arabic language. Okay? How can people educate themselves on their religion, directly from the Quran and Sunnah? How can they contemplate over the Quran? How can they benefit from the Ahadith if they don't even understand it? Sah? If they don't even understand the speech of their Lord, they don't understand what Prophet said, and now they have to rely on someone. Okay? And then that someone, you're at the mercy, you're at his mercy. You're at the mercy of his guidance, you're at the mercy of his desires and what he wants you to hear. And this has caused so much damage, not just to the Muslim Ummah, even to the Salafi community. That when I noticed and I seen the damage, I said to myself, you know what? I'll teach Islamic studies, but if there's one thing I want to leave behind, one thing I want to impart, one thing I want to improve, is the way people learn Arabic, the amount of people that learn Arabic, the amount of people that teach Arabic. Because again, the hope is that all of you take this, you benefit, and you teach others. That's the hope as well, inshallah ta'ala. If all of you here today take this knowledge and you learn Arabic and all of you start competing with me, Huh? Every single one of you opens a Telegram channel and start teaching the Arabic Essentials course or whatever you want to call it, and teaches what I've taught them, uses even the same analogies. Wallah, this makes me happy. This would make me happy. This would make my day. That's what we're working towards, inshallah. For all of you to compete with me, inshallah, in the khair. فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ, Allah says. Compete with one another in khair. This is my dream. This is my dream. And I hope it comes true. It comes true, inshallah. So the point I'm trying to make is that, at the end of the day, this is from the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and from the hard work of those that are working behind the scenes, those are contributing, those are financially contributing, those are contributing by way of dua, and all of you that are contributing by just attending and benefiting. And there's nothing more motivating to me as a teacher when I see tangible progress in my students, when I see transformation, when I see people, their lives becoming different, their lives are transforming now. They are now becoming students of knowledge. They are now becoming an active member of their community, spreading khair, spreading the tawheed and sunnah. Nothing more motivating than this. Allah yahfadkum. Tilmeez Arabic Essentials course. أيوة. إياكم الله. الله يحفظكم. نعم إن شاء الله صدقة الجارية. That's what we hope. الله يحفظكم جميعا. الله يحفظكم. طيب. إذن إن شاء الله we're going to suffice with that. And you mostly talk regarding the key points in mastering the Arabic language. I believe we'll be able to speak too fluent after getting too common, as you said. Allah grants ability to naam, inshallah. Inshallah, I'll go through these inputs, the feedback all of you gave me, inshallah ta'ala. But I'll suffice with this for today, inshallah. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.